Good morning, Grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blender HD. If you want to follow me there on Twitter, and it's Thursday. What do we do on Thursdays? I don't know. What are we going to do on Thursdays? I think it's a toss-up Thursday, right? We got NFL coming up on Sunday. We got Showdown tonight, right? I believe Alvin Kamara is out. I think it was just ruled out a couple of maybe half an hour ago or something. So hopefully projections will change on that. We got an NBA slate coming up today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. I'm not playing it. Remember, I'm not playing NBA until NFL regular season is over. So we could talk about the tools or something like that. I've nothing interesting to add other than I could just look at the projections and look at the ownership and go, let's build some plus EV lineups. But pretty much we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. And if you want to talk about stuff, you can always go into our Discord, right? I have a new channel there. I write Blender's Game Theory. I've been promoting it all week. So if you're a RotoGrinders premium member, so you have to be a premium member. So click on that link in the description, get $10 off your first month and get a combo premium, single sport premium, whatever. You get all these other channels. You get the NBA channel, NFL channels, everything in here, as well as obviously all the premium content, the lineup HQ, the projections, everything, ownership, whatever you need, all the Slate IQ stuff, the simulations, the top things here, and all the premium content you get. But you also get access to our premium Discord. And in the premium Discord, there's a channel called Blender's Game Theory. And you'll see that overnight, not many people are, chatting amongst themselves. But I'm always in there answering questions about DFS strategy, right? Yesterday, we had a whole thing going on about, I've been trying to make, I've showed that process about, generating 300 lineups and then trying to weed out the ones that are too high owned for their projection. I've been trying to do that in Excel. I've been trying to do that in Excel and then have it and then give me the lineups, not just to point them out. I can make it so that it can point it out. So I could have 300 lineups. I can put the projection and the ownership column next to it and then give me this, which is very similar to what Baker over here posted in here in the Discord. So he even did it, right? So he posted his Excel spreadsheet that can do that for you if you paste your lineups in. And he has a little example here. So I didn't put this in. Someone else in chat, we were talking about, functions, and someone was doing that in R. Someone was doing that in Python or something like that. So a little bit more advanced stuff, a little bit more, obviously game theory strategy related, but also efficiency with the tools and the programs and functionality that you use. So we were talking about that in there. So yeah, I've been trying to do it in Excel, but not so it just points it out. The way that Baker has it is that it puts a 1 or a 0 in a column, right? It goes 1, 1, 1. If it skips over something, it's just a 0. So you could take all the columns that have ones, and that's where the lineups are that fit that parameter. I'm trying to make it so that it doesn't do that. It just gives me if there's 16 lineups, it just gives me those 16 lineups. But I'm not that great in Excel, so that's why I posed it in the chat. And what else we were talking? People talking about other stuff. What we're doing in here is also weekly Zoom calls over Zoom, group calls. Especially for people that can't make it for these shows, right? Because you could ask questions in the YouTube chat, but also for more personal, you could share your screen if you want to share your Roto tracker or something like that, and talk about your specific play. Obviously, it's in a group setting, but the group calls will not be recorded. Okay, so we will be having weekly Zoom group coaching calls up to 100. I think the Zoom limit is 100. So first come, first serve, and 100. And the link will be posted in this Discord channel. If you join, obviously, you got to be a RotoGrinders premium member, and you gotta join this channel, and set your alerts. You could type in exclamation point Blender, and I always send out alerts for when these Zoom calls are happening or any very important information up here. But you could see next Tuesday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern, right? So at night, a lot of people have work, and they're like, oh, I can't show up to the morning show, right? With me in the morning. So So we could do maybe some over the weekend or something like that. So I say here, it's like, I'll post a link here. Questions should be focused on your own personal play, specific issues you might be having recently, or concepts you're struggling to grasp or implement well. And then, a thread will be posted. I'll post a thread that morning where people get to kind of like sign up. Like, you could show up, just show up, and it's not going to be recorded. So feel free to, share with the group and know that it's not going to be archived or shown publicly. I mean, it's not something that it's going to be posted on YouTube or anything like that. You got to be there. So I'll post a thread in this channel for you to kind of like sign up, right? Because if we can't have 100 people talking at once, right? So you're going to join the Zoom room. Everyone's going to be, muted and with their camera off or whatever like that. But then I could go through the thread that was posted that morning with people's like specific kind of like questions if they want to participate, and go, okay, hit number one, John, whatever. And then then that person could unmute and, turn on their camera and converse, right? And then we'll go to the next person, do, for maybe, 90 minutes to 2 hours. And obviously can't get to everyone every call. So, it'll be every week. So, we'll get to you and discuss whatever it is that you want to discuss. So feel free to join the RotoGrinders premium Discord, join Blender's Game Theory channel. And it's incorporated. You don't have to pay extra for it, right? As long as you're a RotoGrinders premium member, you have access to this. No matter if you're a single sport, you're just signed up for soccer, you still have access to this channel. So you don't have to have a combo premium package or anything like that. You don't have to pay annually versus monthly. Feel free to sign up for a month, right? Sign up to RotoGrinders for a month, a week. I think we have weekly package. Like, try it out for a week, right? And you could still have access to this channel and join in on the Zoom group coaching call. Because people ask me about coaching, and I give out 100% of what I know. I don't know if there's anything between this show, between the Masterclass, the Theory of DFS Masterclass. You could pick up at theoryofdfs.com, and the Discord, and just chatting in the Discord. Like, I don't see what else I would be saying privately to anyone. So I've always felt weird when people ask me. I get asked probably at least once a week on if I do private coaching. And I always say, just show up to the morning show, go into the Discord, and if you're a RotoGrinders premium member, and ask whatever the hell you want. I mean, is there a reason to have a one-on-one conversation? I'm not really sure, but some people do. So I think this is a good compliment. So if you don't know how to get on the Discord, if you go to the RotoGrinders site, there's a little controller icon, like where all the social media buttons are. You just click on that, and it'll connect. You have to connect your RotoGrinders account to the Discord server. So it knows you're a premium member, and then you can see the channel. You could always also go to rotogrinders.com/Discord, and that'll send you right there. So rotogrinders.com/Discord. And I just wanted to show, see, it's like people showing it. This guy's showing about Excel over here, right? So stuff's going on. People were asking about MMA, and here's a video. Obviously, the video I did about MMA, right? And typically, during the middle of the night, probably not much is going on there. But I'm always in there. If you ask a question, I will answer. Okay? It may not be immediate. It may not be, snap. But I will always reply to every question that gets posted in there. And yeah, so join in there. I don't know what we'll talk about today. We should have updated. If Kamara's out, if his projection was removed, 10:52 a.m. We have something here, right? I'm assuming Ingram's projection goes up. Actually, it doesn't. Okay, maybe it does it go up? Seemed like that was the same projection we had before. Ty Montgomery 3. No, okay. I guess we removed Kamara, but we didn't update everyone else. But we could talk about Showdown. We could talk about the main slate NFL. We could talk about whatever it is you want. Give me those thumbs ups, right? That's what we do in the morning. Give me the thumbs up. Give me the subscribe button. Give me the notification bell. Give me whatever you want. Click on anything, right? I see you guys in there. Morning. Good morning. Kukas 0918. Okay, I think you're new. Doug Montgomery, Matt Mears, Con Campbell, Daniel Hutchins. Daniel's in the Game Theory channel, right? I don't know what I could do to help him, right? He has better processes than I do, right? I'm trying to do things like kind of like the blunt the bluntish way, the directionally right way. And he's like, I ran a simulation 70, 100 million trillion times, and this is what it spits out. And good thing that most of the time what it spits out it aligns with exactly the kind of the strategies I'm talking about. That's always a good sign, right? When the simulations match it makes sense to have these types of lineups. And you're like, okay, the simulation's going to kind of agree with you. That's good. Let's see. Matt Mears is looking forward to the Zoom next week. Good. Join in. Skylar Hewins, Blender, won the $27 single entry small field last night. Oh, congratulations. Thanks for all your help. The lineup wasn't even that great. Because remember, the goal of DFS is not to have the highest score. It's not to score the most points. It's just to beat your opponents, right? In a $27 single entry contest, the score is going to be much, much lower than the winning score than like the largest field contest. So like your goal is to beat that many people. So that's why when you see like some of the higher stakes GPPs that are small field, like 80 man, right? And you go, wow, someone won $100,000 with a score that is like way lower than your 1100th place lineup in like the Millie Maker or something like that. Yeah, because all you're doing is trying to beat 79 people, right? You don't have to score 240 points to beat 79 other people. You just have to score enough points to beat 79 of them, right? So how do you do that? And obviously, your 79 opponents in those contests are going to be much stronger than they would be in a large field contest where you have a lot of really crappy lineups, right? So it's not about the most points. People are like, how do I score in an NBA on a FanDuel? How do I score 400? Like that isn't your goal. Your goal is you just score more than your opponents. And a lot of times, the best slates for you to win at are those low scoring slates when the consensus field plays fail or underperform. And on those slates, a lower score will win first place. The slates where all the chalk hits, those are the hardest slates to win because so many people have the same points. So it's not about the number. We see sometimes in NFL, all the chalk hits and someone's on Twitter complaining, I got 190 and didn't even cash, right? And then you get the next week when none of the chalk hits, and then someone wins the Millie Maker with 190, right? 190 is the $1 million score. And you're like, wow, that's strange. Like, no, that's normal. You're playing DFS from a relative scoring perspective, not an absolute scoring perspective. So when people say like your aim is to score 200 points in NFL, like that isn't your aim. Your aim is to score 400 points in NBA. That isn't your aim. Your aim is to just score more points than your opponents. That's it. Whatever it happens to be that slate, it is that slate, right? If the chalk hits, they're going to be high scores around because more people are sharing the same points. If more of the chalk fails, that means there'll be more people sharing low amounts of points, right? So having the 4% owned guy that goes off for 60 points in NBA is much more valuable on a slate where the chalk fails than when the chalk hits. So a lot of people are like, I'm going to play all the chalk and then this 4% owned guy. Well, if all the chalk hits, like it's going to be very hard to win. I mean, you still can, but it's still going to be very hard to win in that situation. Okay, let's see. Hog Lauren says this must be the secret chat I've been hunting for. No, it's not the secret. It's not the secret, the cash game chat. It's not that, which doesn't exist. I joke about it. Some people may think it exists. The secret collusion chat where everyone shares their cash lineup in NFL or whatever, in NBA. Like, no, that doesn't actually exist. It's just that if you use projections and the top median optimal is across like the entire industry the same in every model, practically, like you're going to get a lot of duplication, right? That's just the way it is. But I don't know what you want to talk about today. It'll be quiet in the YouTube chat. It'll be a really short show. But let's see. So MD asked no more stupid Saturday. Yeah, if you're a subscriber to my channel, my YouTube channel, which you get the Theory of DFS podcast on, no more stupid Saturday. It seemed redundant. Stupid Saturday seemed redundant in comparison to doing these shows in the morning anyway, right? And I'm pretty much answering the same questions. The only difference is that on Stupid Saturday, it NSFW, right? Since it's not under the RotoGrinders banner, right? A lot more cursing, a lot more yelling and ranting and cursing. But it's kind of redundant, right? And then I do it on Saturdays, and then I play MMA. I play soccer in the morning on Saturdays and MMA. And then MMA, sometimes it's later, sometimes it's earlier, sometimes it's whatever. And it's like, it's already redundant as it is. I'm already now doing this coaching call also. So I just like, is there a purpose of it? On Fridays, we'll primarily go over the NFL main slate on this show as it is, right? I do the Advanced Sports Analytics show on Fridays. So it's like, what else can I really talk about on Saturdays, right? Not much. Not much. It's kind of the same show. Let's see. Stephen Smith says, first look at ownership for NFL running backs. A lot of running backs grading out good. So far seems like a strong week for GPP lineups. Yeah, if we take a look at currently, this is the Gridiron IQ projections. Yeah, a lot of running backs grade out well. But I think the more noticeable thing is that not many wide receivers do. Right? We take a look here and like the difference between wide receivers. We don't have updated ownership. We have some of these as blanks. I'm going to reload this and see. I mean, you can't really go by ownership. It's Thursday morning anyway. Let's see. We're going to get some. No, it's going to be the same. I'd be more concerned about wide receiver on Sunday based on what I'm seeing here. See, like at running back, for instance, you would think, which would be a correct way of thinking of like, look how many running backs project well. Like if Jamal Williams is going to be owned, I could play, Josh Jacobs instead, right? Because there's so many of these running backs kind of in this range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 within like 4 points of each other. So it's like, oh, well, I'm going to play one over the other. But it's quite possible if this ownership gets a little bit flattened. Because we even see here, like Jonathan Taylor, 25%, James Conner, 21%, Josh Jacobs, 12%. Like, there's no like low owned, like it's all kind of spread out, which means you can make a lot more combinations. That's right. So playing a wide amount of running backs seems like doable. Like you could change one and put one in, and it's not that big of a difference. But at wide receiver, like as of right now, like nothing stands out that much. I mean, what we have Marvin Jones right now as the value wide receiver, the top value, but his salary adjusted plus minus is only 1.7. Right? It's that isn't great, right? Jalen Waddle 6,400, right? Keenan Allen 7,500, Brandon Cooks 5,900. Like, but the difference between these guys up here and these guys down here is a difference of like 10 yards, right? It's a difference of 1 or 2 points. So one catch for 10 yards is 2 points. And that's what separates the top from like the 20th or the 25th wide receiver. But what's going to end up happening at wide receiver more likely than running back is that chalk is going to be a little over-owned. That's what I'm expecting based on, I mean, this is Thursday morning. So I'm expecting like guys like Jones, Waddle, Shenault, Allen, Cooks, Godwin, maybe again, right? Deontay Johnson at 6,800. Like maybe some of these guys like end up being like 18, 20 to 25, 24% owned. Well, we'll sit here with like guys like Russell Gage will be 6% owned at 5,300, or Pittman 9% owned. Like, should the delta be that wide? Probably not. Not based on these projections, they shouldn't. So I think it's more likely that you get weirder at wide receiver, even though based on the projections, raw projections we have, you're still probably playing a 3 running back line. So you're taking 3 of these running backs from a projection standpoint, and then you don't play you're not sacrificing that many points by playing take a look at this. Look, we run this. Let me put in some numbers. For instance, if we run this based on our optimal right now, based on these projections, is 149.71. So it's Williams, Connor, and Taylor in there. 3 running backs, Shenault, Jones, and Waddle. Komet at tight end. Herbert and the Eagles. Okay, so this is 149.71. Now let's say what happens if I do take Russell Gage instead? right? Just as an example. Doesn't have to be Russell Gage, but okay. So this guy, 5,300, is probably going to take the place of a Marvin Jones or something. It's going to give me a different defense, maybe, right? So remember, without our optimal is 149.71. If I put in Russell Gage and optimize, 146.39. Okay. So how many points are we giving up? About 3 points, right? Which is completely doable. Let's say we play Mike Williams, T. Higgins, or let's say, how about T. Higgins? Put T. Higgins in, 147.19. Okay, well, he's going to be about 14% owned based on this. Right? So you're giving up by not playing one of these guys up here, you're giving up about 3 points in projection. But how about, let's say 2 of them. So let's say we play Russell Gage and Michael Pittman, right? And let's see what that looks like. 145.16. So you're giving up what? 4.5 points, right? Let's say we put in another, like, so we're not even playing Jones. Let's say we play someone else in that range, right? Let's say we play, Brandon Ayuk. I mean, I'm just making stuff up. This comes up to 141.27. Okay, so as you go down, right? So now you're giving up like 8 points in projection. But let's say we get a cheaper. Like, do we have a cheaper? We have Treadwell. We have Joanne Jennings. Let's try him. Jennings. We don't play Ayuk. We play Gage and Pittman or something like that. This cheaper guy. 142. Okay, so you're giving up about 7 points in projection. But let's say we do that with the running backs. Okay. So we tried replacing the wide receivers. And replacing 1, we sacrifice somewhere between 2 and 3 points. Replacing 2, we sacrifice somewhere between 3 and 5 points. All 3 sacrifice maybe 7 points. But at running back, let's say we get different at running back and play like James Robinson, right? So we're going down to the same level as we did before. So James Robinson, we plug him in, 145. So by playing not one of the top projected running backs in this range, like you're sacrificing about 4.5 points. Now, let's say you do that twice, right? So I'm looking at the ranges. So Taylor, Williams, let's say you don't pay up. So you're not paying up for Taylor. So let's say you're playing Barkley instead, right? So 2 of them, Robinson and Barkley. Now you're getting a lineup 140.5. So once you replace 2 running backs that aren't in this top range, you're sacrificing 9 points, right? Now, obviously, if you start now sacrificing points at wide receiver, you're going lower and lower. But you can see here that the more that you don't play guys that are towards the top of the running back range, which there are a bunch. It's not like it's just Taylor, Connor, and Williams. You play Henderson, Jacobs, Eckler, Montgomery, Mixon. Yeah, but once you get down to like, oh, I'm going to take a shot on Najee Harris, right? Who seems like, oh, okay, why not take a shot? But I mean, he does project pretty poorly in comparison to his price tag. We put in Najee Harris here, right? Your lineup is 141.66. All you did is like, look at the rest of the lineup. Brady, Connor, Williams, Chenault, Jones, Allen, Kmet, Eagles. These are all owned. These are all like, these are chalky guys based on our current ownership. And just by saying, I'm going to play Harris instead of Taylor, it's not Taylor. It's just that obviously you're playing a $7,700 running back that has a salary adjusted minus 2.5. When you have guys that are in the same range that are projected for 6 points, that'll give you your lineup total projection 6 points higher. At least 6 points higher. Which means that I'm more likely, because if I play Najee Harris, my total ownership is quite similar to if I don't play Marvin Jones. So if my total ownership is going to be similar, but my projection is going to be 5 points higher, why aren't I playing the higher projected lineups? So based on our current projections, I always have to say current, as of Thursday morning, whatever, it looks like there's a lot more viable running backs to play, right? In GPPs, right? You don't have to play Taylor. You don't have to play Connor, but you kind of like drops off after like the top like 10, right? You're still not going down and playing Myles Gaskin as of right, or David Johnson, right? You're stuck in this kind of range. So you're probably playing 3 of these guys in your lineup. But at wide receiver, the amount that's available is much higher. Like you could play a guy like Najee Harris was minus 2.5 salary adjusted value. Wide receiver, you could do that. If you want to play Chase Claypool, you could do that more than you could do a running back. Why? Well, look at the top range of running back. Look at these salary adjusted pluses. Almost 5 here, 4.94, 4.89, 4.1, right? So what's the difference between one of these and Najee Harris? Like between Taylor and Harris, it's like 7.5 points. But at wide receiver, like the highest salary adjusted value is Marvin Jones at 1.7. So let's say you go down to 2.5, right? You go down and I'm going to play Darnell Mooney or instead, or Olamide Zacchaeus, or, one of these guys down here. That's at 2.5. That's 2.5 minus salary adjusted value. Well, the difference between 2.5 and like 1.5 is like 4 points. So you could do the same thing at wide receiver, sacrifice 4 points. In order to get that ownership at the running back position, you have to sacrifice 7, 8 points. So that's why I think wide receiver is actually way more open this week than anything else. Well, even though you have a lot more options at running back at the top end. You could play any of these 10 guys. At least 2 of them, obviously. But at wide receiver, I get the sneaking suspicion that some of these guys towards the top are gonna be overowned when there's really not much difference. You change Marvin Jones's projection by 1 point, and you look at it and you go, well, what makes him so much better than anyone else down here, right? Because you take away 1 point, his RGV, the salary adjusted plus minus, would be 0.7, which would put him right in this range anyway, right? So it's like, why aren't you playing, like, who else in that range? Like Jalen Waddle, for instance, 6,400. You take what? You take 20 yards, one catch for 10 yards off of his score. That's 2 points, which puts him down here, right? He's 6,400. So what makes him any different than God? It makes Godwin better. What's any different between him and Williams, Higgins, Lockett, Renfro, Ayuk, Pittman, right? Marquise Brown. I mean, so it's like if he's going to be 25% owned, and the difference between him and like 10 of the receivers down here is 1 catch for 10 yards. Well, he shouldn't be like 4 or 5 times more owned than those guys down there. So think of that when it comes to variance. Like what makes this guy better than the other guy in like actual football production? Right, you take a look at a running back. You go like, what happens if I just take 20 yards off? What if I take 1 touchdown off? Right, one guy gets a touchdown, the other guy doesn't get a touchdown. That's 6-point difference. So it means the difference in players aren't as dramatic as you would think they are. So in GPPs, you should be exploiting that. Right, Daniel Hutchins says it very well. When you have more viable options in a slate, it seems to me that the field overvalues small differences. Makes getting different pretty easy. Yeah. But I think as of right now on these projections, that'll occur more on wide receiver. So I think the running backs, people will mix these in. I don't see running backs with how many options we have getting to the point where we have a 40% owned running back, or even a 30% owned running back. But it could be at wide receiver that it's like, well, this is the best value, and it's only the best value by a point or two, and that point or two means the guy's going to be 30% owned. I think that's more likely to happen this week at wide receiver. Nate Branshaw, are you less likely to have lineups with a running back and wide receiver from the same team that you're not stacking? for large field tournaments. I would think their ceilings are negatively correlated. Yeah, their 80th percentile outcomes plus are negatively correlated. But depending on the context of the slate and depending on the prices of the players, that you can still do it. It's about the whole lineup. Remember, it's about the whole lineup. So if you end up in your projection's good between two players, right? You're playing Jamal Will. I don't know who you play on the Lions as a receiver. If two guys project well and they happen to be on the same team and they're both running back and wide receiver, yes, their 80th percentiles are start getting negatively correlated, but maybe you don't need a 90th percentile from both of them to win a GPP based on the rest of your lineup. So don't think in absolutes. You'd be correct. Negative correlation doesn't mean never do it. Just like positive correlation doesn't automatically mean that you benefit from it. Right? It's like, oh, I'm going to play these three guys together because when they one does well, the other one is more likely to do well. Not that does well. The key word there is more likely and less likely. Not automatically does well. We've seen plenty of times where a wide receiver puts up 40 points, two wide receivers, that 24 points to 40 points, and the quarterback is like still the eighth highest scoring quarterback on the slate. The quarterback still only has 22 points, right? And there's like other quarterbacks that have 28 and 32 or something. And it's like, wow, I wouldn't have played both wide receivers from that game without the quarterback. That's weird. It's less likely. Yes, you're right, but it's not complete. Oh, it can never happen. Right? I talked about yesterday with playing like two efficiently priced players in NBA, like Levine and DeRozan, that type of situation for the Bulls. Well, I can't play them together on large slates. Like you can. There is a negative correlation to their ceilings. They're 80th plus percentiles. But who says you need the 90th percentile? Maybe all you need is two 80th percentile outcomes. It's less likely to happen together at those prices. Doesn't mean it can't happen. So if the rest of your lineup works out and that's the way that it projects and is owned properly for the contest you're in, that's perfectly fine. Correlation, it shouldn't be the number one priority. Projection versus ownership, and correlation just gives you a higher ceiling. It increases the variance of your lineup. But it's not like the strategic standpoint of what you should be sticking with as an absolute. In DFS, nothing is absolute. I would say pretty much nothing. Okay, you don't play Alvin Kamara, right? Don't play an injured player. At that price, even then, that's that I can't say that absolutely. There are times that you should play an injured player in your life. Right? So it's not an absolute. There have been times I've played an injured player in my life, a guy that was not going to start. There are situations where where you do that. Very, very unlikely situations, typically involving late swap. I've done that before. I've played an injured goalkeeper in soccer before. An injured goalkeeper that was out. Why did I do that? Because late swap, right? I'm beating someone, right, by 3 points. I have a goalkeeper left, and their lineup is done. So should I play my goalkeeper? Not the goalkeepers in soccer just score negative points, right? You give up 2 goals, it's -2 for each goal, and if you have no saves, so if I'm up by 3 points, what should I do? And they've no one left, right? So I'm up by 3. So you scroll all the way down to the cheapest injured goalkeeper, right? The third string, fourth string, whatever and some goalkeeper that has almost no shot at playing. Or if they're injured, they're out. They're not even in the squad. I could guarantee myself a 0, and then I win. Right. So even the case of don't play an injured player, there's probably an NBA showdown, possibly in showdown contests, NBA, maybe NFL. Sometimes, depending on how it goes, if there's a bunch of high-priced guys that go off for like super ceilings, like having a $200 player that scores a 0 ends up being optimal. Now, it doesn't happen that frequently. But sometimes having the cheapest guy, because the only way to get those 5 other players in and one in the captain is to play a guy that scores 0 points. Maybe that guy's in, maybe the guy's injured. It could be a guy that that isn't injured that also scores 0, but it would be the case that a slot with a 0 actually ends up being the optimal, which means that could be an injured player. I mean, it's not something that you would plan out to do, but it could happen. So I don't even want to talk in absolutes when it comes to that. It's like, well, are there absolutes in DFS? Yeah, probably don't play a lineup full of players that are out. And I'm like, okay, that's a good. When would you ever play a guy that's out? And I go, yeah, actually, there are times where the optimal move is to play the guy that's out, right? Right? There are cases. You're not building lineups to begin with like that, most likely. But still, I say that, and then showdown, it's possible. Let's see. Dan B, why did you fundamentally change your philosophy on cash games in the past year? I don't know. How did I change my philosophy? I'm not going to play cash games against the strongest players in the lobby for what? For shits and giggles? Remember, on Draft, I play cash games on FanDuel. Until they limit me on FanDuel, I will. Draftkings is like I can only play $5 and up. And as the season goes on, you take a look at the lobby and you go, where's the money here? Right? You're getting into 51-49 situations. It's like, why am I flipping coins for thousands of dollars a night and going on swing? You go on swings, you lose 3 nights in a row, you win 3 nights. I mean, and by the end of it, you have a 1.5% ROI. You're like, why am I bothering? So like in the beginning of the season, sure. Beginning of NFL, beginning of NBA, something like that. On DraftKings. On FanDuel, I can still play the $1 and $2 contest. So I don't mind doing that on FanDuel. But there's no why risk that amount of money on a 1 to 2% return that has no upside? I don't, if I'm going to go through swings, I might as well go through swings in GPP and not cash games on essentially coin flips. So other than that, but that's not a fundamental change of philosophy. That's always been my philosophy. If you can't find soft action, you shouldn't be playing. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, look at soccer. I don't mind playing anyone in soccer, essentially. Anyone other than the 10 best players in the lobby, which are the same regulars that have been there for 6 years. So I'm not playing Saramek and $500 head-to-heads. What would be the point of that? But I don't mind playing a $500 head-to-head against some rando. The problem is there aren't that many randos. So a lot of times on a Saturday morning, I'm only playing maybe about $1,000 to $1,500 worth of volume in soccer. When I wouldn't mind playing 5,000 plus, but who's playing in the lobby? I'm not going to just post $215, $500 head-to-heads and then play against Redcoat and Saramek and Pew and all the soccer regulars. We're flipping coins at best. At worst, I'm a slight loser to them. So yeah, I would love to be able to play that amount of volume, but I can't. So I don't. So it's not about, I'm not trying to get a certain amount of volume in. I'm trying to get good action. I want good action. So I don't mind. That's what I've said on the Theory of DFS podcast. I don't mind sitting a slate out. Go, can I put 100% of my energy into this? No, then I'm going to sit out. Am I going to be able to get enough good action on the slate? No, then don't play it or play lower volume. You post a whole bunch of stuff and only 10% of it gets taken, and then you play that. Don't go out and go, I got to make it up somewhere. I'm just going to take head-to-heads from people that I know or where you're even at best against, just so I could fill up my quota. Don't think in terms of that. I think in terms of where's the soft action, right? If I'm not playing NBA until NFL season is over, I'm still playing plenty of volume in MMA. Right on Saturday, I'm going to play my normal stuff in MMA. I'll put my money there. Right, I'll put my money into Champions League soccer. I'll put my money into NFL. Right, but maybe not cash games anymore, or not as much because it's December, and I could already tell just go through double up lineups that a lot of the soft money is gone in the cash games. The soft money is never gone in GPPs. It's never gone. Even late in the season in NBA, there's still enough dumb money in there. But in cash games and double ups, a lot of times, like in baseball, especially baseball, almost no people don't play cash games in baseball. A lot of like casual people, definitely. So that's why I don't bother playing cash in MLB. Usually I don't. I'm looking for soft. That's the whole point. That the number one thing, I say it in the course. You go to theoryofdfs.com, pick up the masterclass, 15 hours. I say that the number one thing that'll affect your profit, the number one thing over all others is who you play. That's it. If you could, as long as you're playing against opponents that are weaker than you, you profit. Doesn't matter how skilled you are, but as long as they're less skillful than you are, you'll make more money than the best player in the world playing against other better players in the world. Right? The common phrase in poker is that if you're doesn't matter that you're the 10th best player in the world. If you're playing in a game with the 9 best players in the world, you're going to go broke. So if you're the 10th best player in the world, don't play against the top 9. Play against the people that are weaker than you. So that's what you're looking for. So contest selection. That's what you do when you go into a poker room. I want to play in the weakest game, the game with the least skillful players. So there's 6 tables going on of different games. And that's the main reason why I learned multiple games. Right? I was, obviously my number one game was limit hold'em, but I was no limit hold'em, obviously. On top of that, but I learned 7-card stud. I learned pot limit Omaha. I learned Omaha high-low, right? 08. Because you never know what games are going to be going on, right? I walk in and, maybe there's a 15-30-08 game that it's 8-way flops and stuff. And I'll go, okay, I'll sit in this game, right? That's the softest game at the time. It's not my best. It's not my strongest game, but it has the weakest players at it. I'll go into a card room and look around. I mean, obviously, if you're a regular at a card room, you kind of know a lot of the clientele. You go in and you go, they started up a 2-5 pot limit Omaha game, and I see who's in it. I go, it's like 4 or 5 whales that would normally be in the 2-5 no limit hold'em game. I go, I'm going to play in this game, even though like the 3 other guys in the game are better than me, right? I look at that and I go, yeah, There are 3 players there that I'm going to stay away from. That, like, I'm not going to make any money off of. But there's like 4 guys in the game that could easily bleed $2,000-$3,000 tonight each. So the money's up for grabs. So based on that, I'm going to play in that game, even though there are limit hold'em. There's other games going on. Looking for the softest action. So that's what ultimately you should be doing the most of. You should do one of 2 things when you're getting better at DFS. To increase your profit in DFS, you could do one of 2 things. 1, get better, be more skillful, get better at it. So it's something that you can control. How do I get better at playing? And number 2 is who am I finding weaker players to play against? Right? One of the 2. If you count both, right? Obviously, that's the best of both worlds. To get better and find the weaker opponents. And obviously, the higher, more skillful you get, the more weaker opponents there are because you're above them, right? So the same players that you're like, okay, I don't want to play against these guys because I'm not good enough. You want to get better than them. So now I make money off of the same people, right? But a lot of times the field gets better also. So your goal, if you don't want to get better at playing DFS, then get better at finding worse opponents. There are plenty of people that I've talked to. I've seen their roto tracker or like that are very good at what in the poker world we would call bum hunting. Right? They don't play GPPs. They play head-to-heads. They play small field double ups. They find the late games, the turbo slates, the tiers contests, and they look for the randos. And maybe their whole action on an NFL Sunday is like a $530 head-to-head on the main slate, a couple of $20 and $50 head-to-head tiers contests. Maybe they find a $215 head-to-head, in the afternoon slate, right? They're just going, I'm just going to try to find the weakest people. People that just like random people that post a head-to-head somewhere, snap them up before someone else does, find a 3-man, right? So you see 2 out of 3 and you see, okay, here's a sharp player. You see K Cannon. It's like, okay. And then you see some guy with some user with no badge. It's like, okay, I'll take 109 3-man. That should be plus EV, right? It doesn't mean you have to take 100 of them. Just like if you're like, I just want $1,000 worth of volume, you could just then fine, just target like that. I know plenty of people that do that. Now to get high volume like that is nearly impossible, right? But if you're looking to build your bank, especially if you have a smaller bankroll, if you're looking to build your bankroll, that would be the number one way to do it. Easily. That's what I would suggest. So if you're starting with like $1,000 bankroll, a $5,000 bankroll, somewhere in that range, like that's all I would do. It's like don't play GPPs, don't play. It's like just go and find the softest action possible. Build your bankroll up from 5,000 to 20,000, 25,000 just that way. Because it's possible. It's possible to do that. And then once you have more of a bankroll, then the raw money of just doing that, only having 200 a slate here and 300 a slate there, putting your money in really good, you're not gonna find as much of that anymore. So now you're gonna have to step up a little. But yeah, you should be with a smaller bankroll. You should be so contest selective because you could afford to be, right? You're playing $1,000 and you're playing 5% of your bankroll on a slate. It's $50, dude. You could find $50 of the best action you can on the slate easily. Right, $50 worth. Yes, take the time to do so. If you're playing $5,000 on a slate, you're probably not going to be able to find $5,000 of that type of action. Randos here and weird stuff wherever. Probably not. You're going to probably have to play against some pretty good people. Oh, let's see. Anything else before we get out of here? Peter Viles. Bro, by the way, you should play DFS with honor and not roster players that are out no matter what. With honor. So I shouldn't. So Peter, I shouldn't swap out a player. If I'm up, if my opponent has 0 PMR or whatever, I shouldn't just plug in and just a guy with a 0 in my head. Is that not honorable? It's optimal. MJC Blender, what is your process for constructing an MMA lineup? Mostly looking to go against the field in most cases. Yet I have a video on RotoGrinders. If you go, it's not a premium video. I did a whole video on my MMA process, so it'll say how I won $117,000 in MMA. So like my process of constructing an MMA lineup is all odds based, odds and leverage based. But you just watch that video. Like it'll show exactly how I build my lineups. Dustin Schmidt, would NBA be softer on the weekends because more casuals have more time to enter contests? I don't know if that's the case. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't. In my history of playing NBA DFS, I don't notice much, if any of it. It's not something that's noticeable. Maybe it's true. Would NBA be softer on the weekends? Maybe. But also, people go out on Saturday, like a Saturday night. Maybe people go out. Right, a casual person. Maybe they're not playing NBA DFS. Who knows? I don't know. It's not something that I've noticed. And typically, I noticed those types of things. I would look through RotoTracker, look through things, and go, oh, somehow I do better on Saturdays and Sundays. I don't think it matters that much. Doesn't matter in baseball. I don't think so. I don't notice in either of those sports at all that it's softer on the weekends. Well, obviously NFL, because it only is on Sundays. I mean, that obviously makes sense. Okay, so a lot of these concepts you could pick up. Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports, 15-hour audio DFS masterclass. How to think like a professional DFS player. All these concepts are in here. And as a supplement to this, join the RotoGrinders Premium and join the Blenders Game Theory channel. This is the type of stuff that we talk about all the time, right? Game theory, strategy, right? Not like who the plays are. That's why we have projections, right? We have Anthony Simons tonight. That's what it looks like, right? I'm assuming Lillard is out. Is Lillard and McCollum? No, McCollum's still in. Right? This is why I'm not paying attention to basketball, so I have no idea what's going on. Why is Landry Shamet projecting well? Who knows? Is Paul's out? Paul's in. Who knows? I don't know these rotations. I haven't paid attention in almost 3 weeks. That's what I said. You go by the numbers. We have a projections team. We're one of the best projections teams in the industry. So I just trust them. 5-game slate tonight. And if you want the plays and the picks and all the stuff to talk about today's NBA slate, that's why we have Grinders Live later today. So that's on this channel. 5:10. Is it 5:10 p.m. Eastern? 5 o'clock Eastern? Something like that. It's around there. Then we have Crunch Time, which is for premium members. Then NFL pre-lock show. That's with me and STL Cards. We'll be on 7:30 Eastern to talk about the showdown slate tonight. And then I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be talking more NFL and answering your questions as always. So give me those thumbs ups on your way out the door, the thummy thumbs. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. And I'll see you tomorrow for another edition of the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders.com.